tail, 2 heads, 1 young yin line, three heads, 1 old yang line. One tail, 2 heads, 1 young yin line. Three tails, 1 old yin line. Tail, 2 heads, 1 young yin line. One head, 2 tails, 1 young yang line. Our bottom trigram is broken, solid broken for our primary hexagram. And then our supporting hexagram will be broken, broken, solid. when it transforms, it'll transform. This line will, line 2 and line 4. Line 2 will transform from an old yang to a young yin. Line 4 will transform from a young yin, old yin, to a young yang. Our first bottom trigram is going to be the trigram of Khan, water. Khan is deep water, flowing and formless. He is the complement of Li, dark where Li is bright, unconscious to her sharp lucidity, and represents a more fluid, intuitive, and emotional way of perceiving. This is danger, exposure, and solitude, and the need to respond with courageous self-reliance when confronted by the haunting unknown. Water is the middle sun, situated in the north, associated with midwinter and midnight. In the top trigram of broken, solid is Gen, mountain. The mountain is still. It is a limit where you must stop. Gen brings each cycle to an end, defining a space where we can recognize, assimilate, and complete our experience. He creates a personal still center amid change, where we can retreat for perspective, and a firm foundation for new growth. He is well-grounded, confident, and of independent spirit. He is still and knows. Mountain is the youngest son, child of maturity. In the cycle of directions and seasons, he is the northeast, late winter approaching spring, the pivot between cycles. Our first hexagram will be number 4. And when the lines transform, our bottom hexagram becomes Kun, earth or mother, and our top hexagram becomes Li, light or fire. And that gives us hexagram 35. And I will go back and read earth and fire or light. Kun, earth. These are the two trigrams that will make up our second or supporting hexagram. Kun is earth, open to receive and support what comes to her, providing for its full development. She makes inspiration manifest, gives it form, and sustains its growth. Earth is available to be used, ready to lend her strength to the work without limit. She protects and accepts all things in their totality, present and potential, in an unconditional embrace. Earth is mother, found in the southwest and the harvest time of late summer and early autumn. Li, the top or outer trigram of our supporting hexagram. Li, fire and light. Li is fire and light, both inner and outer. As an inner light, she is consciousness at its most lucid and unclouded, holding things together in the mind, perceiving their differences and connections, and discerning the underlying patterns of relationship. And as well as vision, Li is the light that makes things visible, the power to cast light on things, spreading clarity and the awareness of order. Li is the middle daughter, living in the south, the region of midsummer and the burning sun. I wanted to read a few passages before we get into reading our hexagrams. From the Taoist Classics, the collected translations of Thomas Cleary, Volume 3. And we'll primarily be reading out of The Secret of the Golden Flower, which is A lay manual of Buddhist and Taoist methods for clarifying the mind. This text describes a number of helpful meditation techniques, but its central method goes deeper than meditation, getting to the root source of awareness itself. This practical guide was hailed by C.G. Jung as a link between the insights of the East and his own psychological theory. First quote is going to be out of Vitality, Energy, Spirit, which is a Taoist source book. This comprehensive anthology traces the teaching on the three treasures, vitality, energy, and spirit, through the long history of Taoism, along with brief selections from the classic texts of Lao Tzu and Chuang Tzu. The book presents a rich selection of tales and sayings from Taoist literature, as well as a broad range of writings from the Complete Reality School. Walk slowly. Walk slowly at a relaxed pace and you won't stumble. Sleep soundly and you won't fret through the night. Practitioners, first of all, need serenity and patience. Second, they need dispassion, not to think about the past or be concerned about the future. If you think about the past, your former self will not die. If you think about the future, the road seems long and hard to traverse. It is better to be serene and relaxed, not thinking of past or future, but just paying attention to the present, acting normally. Each accomplishment is an achievement, and this will build up. If you are eager for completion and vow to do so many deeds or practices, this is still personal interest, calculating merit, and striving for gain. Then the mind cannot be pure. This is the root of inconsistency. And now, out of The Secret of the Golden Flower, the original spirit and conscious spirit. From the point of view of the universe, people are like mayflies, but from the point of view of the way, even the universe is an evanescent reflection. Only the true essence of the original spirit transcends the primal organization and is above it. Vitality and energy degenerate along with the universe, but the original spirit is still there. This is the infinite. The production of the universe all derives from this. If learners can just preserve the original spirit, they live transcendentally outside of yin and yang. They are not within the three realms. This is possible only by seeing essence. This is what is called the original face. What is most wondrous is when the light has crystallized in a spiritual body, gradually becoming consciously effective, and is on the verge of moving into action. This is the secret that has not been transmitted in 1,000 ages. The conscious mind is like a violent general of a strong fiefdom, controlling things from a distance until the sword is turned around. Now steadily keep to the chamber of the origin, turning the light around to look back. And this is like having a heroic leader on top with great ministers helping. Once the inner government is orderly, the strong and violent naturally become tame. The highest secrets of alchemy are the water of vitality and the fire of spirit, and the earth of attention. The water of vitality is the energy of the primal real unity. The fire of spirit is illumination. The earth of attention is the chamber of the center, the celestial mind. The fire of spirit is the function. The earth of attention is the substance. The water of vitality is the foundation. People create the body by attention. The body is not just the physical body because there is a lower soul therein. The lower soul functions in association with consciousness, and consciousness develops based on the lower soul. The lower soul is dim. It is the substance of consciousness. If consciousness is not interrupted, transformation and transmutation of the lower soul go on endlessly from lifetime to lifetime, generation to generation. Then there is the higher soul, which is where the spirit is concealed. The higher soul resides in the eyes during the day and lodges in the liver at night. When it resides in the eyes, it sees. When it lodges in the liver, it dreams. Dreams are the roaming of the spirit. It traverses the 9 heavens and 9 earths in an instant. If you are dull and depressed on awakening, that is a sign of clinging to the body, which means clinging to the lower soul. So turning the light around is a means of refining the higher soul, which is a means of preserving the spirit, which is a means of controlling the lower soul, which is a means of interrupting consciousness. The ancients' method of transcending the world, refining away the dregs of darkness, to restore pure light is just a matter of dissolving the lower soul and making the higher soul whole. Turning the light around is the secret of dissolving darkness and controlling the lower soul. There is no exercise to restore the creative, only the secret of turning the light around. The light itself is the creative. To turn it around is to restore it. Just persist in this method, and naturally the water of vitality will be full. The fire of spirit will ignite. The earth of attention will stabilize, and thus the embryo of sagehood can be solidified. A dung beetle rolls a pill of dung from which life emerges by the pure effort of concentration of spirit. If life can come even from a dung ball, how could it not be possible to produce a body by concentration, by concentrating the spirit on where the celestial mind rests when the embryo leaves the shell? Once the true nature of unified awareness has fallen into the chamber of the creative, it divides into higher and lower souls. The higher soul is in the celestial mind. This is yang, energy that is light and clear. This is obtained from cosmic space and has the same form as the original beginning. The lower soul is yin, energy that is dense and opaque. This sticks to the ordinary mind that has form. The higher soul likes life. The lower soul looks toward death. All lust affecting the temperament is the doing of the lower soul. This is what consciousness is. After death, it feeds on blood. In life, it suffers greatly. This is darkness returning to darkness by a coming together of kind. If learners refine the dark lower soul completely, then it will be pure light. Turning the light around and keeping to the center. Where did the term turning the light around begin? It began with the adept Wenshi. When the light is turned around, the energies of heaven and earth, yin and yang, all congeal. This is what is called refined thought, pure energy, or pure thought. When you first put this technique into practice, there is seemingly non-being within being. Eventually, when the work is accomplished and there is a body beyond your body, there is seemingly being within non-being. Only after 100 days of concentrated work is the light real. Only then is it the fire of spirit. After 100 days, the light is spontaneous. A point of true positive energy suddenly produces a pearl, just as an embryo forms from the intercourse of a man and a woman. Then you should attend it calmly and quietly, and turning around of the light is the firing process. In the original creation, there is positive light, which is the ruling director. In the material world, it is the sun. In human beings, it is the eyes. Nothing is worse than to have a running leakage of spirit and consciousness. This is conformity, so the way of the golden flower is accomplished completely through the method of reversal. Turning the light around is not turning around the light of one body, but turning around the very energy of creation. It is not stopping random imagination only temporarily. It is truly emptying routine compulsion for all time. Therefore, each breath corresponds to 1 year of human time, and each breath corresponds to a century in the various pathways of the long night of ignorance. Usually, people wind up pursuing objects and come to age in conformity with life, never once looking back. When their positive energy fades and disappears, this is the netherworld. Therefore, the heroic march scripture says, pure thought is flight, pure emotion is fall. When students have little thought and much emotion, they sink into low ways. Just observe clearly, and when your breath grows quiet, you then become accurately aware. This is application of the method of reversal. This is what is meant in the Yin Convergence Classic when it says, the mechanism is in the eyes, and the plain questions of the Yellow Emperor when it says, the light rays of the human body all flow upward into the aperture of space. If you get this, long life is herein, and so is transcendence of life. This is a practice that pervades the three teachings. The light is neither inside nor outside the self. Mountains, rivers, sun, moon, and the whole earth are all this light, so it is not only in the self. All the operations of intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom are also this light, so it is not outside the self. The light of heaven and earth fills the universe. The light of one individual also naturally extends through the heavens and covers the earth. Therefore, once you turn the light around, everything in the world is turned around. The light rays are concentrated upward into the eyes. This is the great key of the human body. You should reflect on this. If you do not sit quietly each day, this light flows and whirls, stopping who knows where. If you can sit quietly for a while, all time, then 1,000 ages, 1,000 lifetimes, is penetrated from this. All phenomena revert to stillness. Truly inconceivable is this sublime truth. Nevertheless, the actual practice goes from shallow to deep, from crude to fine. Throughout, it is best to be consistent. The practice is one from beginning to end, but its quality during the process can be known only by oneself. Nevertheless, it is necessary to wind up at the point where heaven is open, earth is broad, and all things are just as they are. For only this can be considered attainment. What has been communicated through successive sages is not beyond reversed gazing. Confucians call it reaching toward knowledge. Buddhists call it observing mind. Taoists call it inner observation. The essential teaching is summarized above. As for the rest, matters of entering and exiting stillness, the prelude and the aftermath, one should use the book Small Stopping and Seeing for a touchstone. The words focus on the center are most sublime. The center is omnipresent. The whole universe is within it. This indicates the mechanism of creation. You focus on this to enter the gate, that is all. To focus means to focus on this as a hint, not to become rigidly fixated. The meaning of the word focus has life to it. It is very subtle. The terms stopping and seeing basically cannot be separated. They mean concentration and insight. Hereafter, whenever thoughts arise, you don't need to sit still as before, but you should investigate this thought. Where is it? Where does it come from? Where does it disappear? Push this inquiry on and on, over and over, until you realize it cannot be grasped. Then you will see where the thought arises. You don't need to seek out the point of arising anymore. Having looked for my mind, I realize it cannot be grasped. I have pacified your mind for you. This is correct seeing. Whatever is contrary to this is false seeing. Once you reach this ungraspability, then as before, you continuously practice stopping and continue it by seeing. Practice seeing and continue it by stopping. This is twin cultivation of stopping and seeing. This is turning the light around. The turning around is stopping, the light is seeing. Stopping without seeing is called turning around without light. Seeing without stopping is called having light without turning it around. Remember this. Turning the light around and tuning and the breathing. Just read, I think, 3 or 4 little verses out of this one. The doctrine just requires single-minded practice. One does not seek experiential proof, but experiential proof comes of itself. On the whole, beginners suffer from 2 kinds of problems, oblivion and distraction. There is a device to get rid of them, which is simply to rest the mind on the breath. The breath is one's own mind. One's own mind does the breathing. Once mind stirs, then there is energy. Energy is basically an emanation of mind. I'm going to read our hexagrams out of the Taoist I Ching by a Taoist adept in 1796 named I-ming. Our first hexagram was 4. Darkness. Starting yin convergence, making unruly yin submit, integrating with the world yet preventing mundanity from taking over. Negatively, it represents obscurity, unknowing. Positively, it represents innocence, also represents stopping in danger. And our supporting hexagram, 35. Advance. Clear-minded sincerity, advancing illumination. Just to lay the foundation here, I'm going to read how all the parts of a reading interact. How the parts of your reading work together. The key to understanding a reading is to know your way around its main components, how they fit together, and the different roles they play. If your reading includes changing lines, then you will need to understand primary hexagram, relating hexagram, and changing lines together. The two hexagrams in conversation with one another map out your whole answer. The primary hexagram shows you quite directly what your answer involves. The relating hexagram generally describes what the answer is about for you. It sets the primary hexagram in a broader context, an influence, a direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all. If the two hexagrams map out a landscape for you, then the changing lines stick a pin in that map to say, you are here, or at least, here are some places you may find yourself. They are the immediate answer to your question. As the most specific, focused part of a reading, their message always takes precedence over all other elements. For example, the primary hexagram might describe a reassuringly secure situation, but a changing line could warn how insecure your position is within it. Hexagram 4, darkness. In darkness is development. It is not that I seek naive innocence. Naive innocence seeks me. The first augury informs, the second and third defile. Defilement does not inform. It is beneficial to be correct. Explanation. Darkness means obscurity and unknowing. In the body of the hexagram, mountain is above, with two yin advancing under one yang. Water is below, with one yang fallen between two yins. Both have forms of yin injuring yang, therefore it is called darkness. As for the qualities of the hexagram, danger is within stillness. There is danger, yet ability to stop. This includes the meaning of stopping darkness. This hexagram represents starting the operation of yin convergence. The hexagram follows on the previous hexagram, earth. Earth means going on the path of submission and receptivity. Carrying out yin convergence means returning recalcitrant yin to submission. After the primordial yang in people culminates, conditioned yin arises. The original spirit is obscured and discriminatory awareness does things. One drops the real and recognizes the false, using intellect mistakenly, producing all sorts of cleverness. Though overtly there is light, inside is really dark. This is where darkness comes from. Once you have entered darkness, essence is disturbed and life is destabilized. In a single day, you are born 1,000 times and die 10,000 times, not knowing how to stop. This is most perilous. If you know there is danger and are able to stop it, silencing the intellect, being as though ignorant and dumb, though you be without knowledge outwardly, inwardly you really have knowledge. From false darkness you return to true darkness. Thus it is that in darkness there is paradoxically a way of development. The best development of darkness is innocence. The darkness of innocence unconsciously follows the laws of God, tranquil and unstirring, yet sensitive and effective. All actions flow from the fundamental essence. This is the dignified status of a sage, the aspect of the celestial human. Those who travel the path of darkness must go back to the darkness of innocence. Only then is it the darkness that is returning to the origin. However, this darkness of return to the origin is not a matter of seeking naive innocence of oneself. It is naive innocence that seeks oneself. Not seeking innocence oneself means that it does not come about by formal effort and is not attached to forms. Innocence seeking oneself means that it comes naturally and does not fall into voidness. Not clinging to forms, not falling into voidness, not material, not empty. Since it is not a matter of seeking the real, one does not exclude the artificial either. Ever calm, yet always responsive yet ever calm. It is not darkness, yet resembles darkness. It is darkness, but actually not darkness. External things cannot enter inside. Thoughts cannot arise. One does not seek reality, but reality is here. But this path that is neither form nor void has two methods, nurturing darkness and opening darkness, which should be known. When yin and yang are mixed, and natural reality has not yet been injured, and external influences have not yet entered, darkness belongs to reality. It is like a first augury, when the yarrow sticks are not yet divided, surely giving direction at first. One should be open, calm, sincere, and serious, thereby going on the path of non-contrivance. Once yin and yang have divided, there is a lack of natural reality. External influences creep in, and darkness winds up in falsehood. It is like when the yarrow sticks are messed up after 2 or 3 auguries. Without awaiting their directions, one may change arrangements, thus going on the path of striving. The path of non-contrivance nurtures the darkness of reality. The path of striving transforms the darkness of falsehood. Nurturing reality, transforming falsehood, striving and non-striving are to be used according to the time and situation as appropriate. One may proceed from striving and wind up non-striving, or one may succeed in striving by way of non-striving. In either case, the ultimate accomplishment is to use the highest good without evil, wholly integrated with natural principle, to go back to the origin, return to the fundamental, and revert to innocence. Those who travel the path of darkness must do so in the correct way. Hexagram 35, our supporting hexagram. Advance. Advancing, a securely established lord presents many horses and grants audience 3 times in a day. Advance is progress. As for the qualities of the hexagram, above is fire, luminous, and below is earth, receptive. Producing understanding by receptivity. Using understanding to practice receptivity. According with the time and according with truth, illumination grows day by day. Therefore it is called advance. This hexagram represents being sincere and clear-minded, advancing the firing. It follows on the previous hexagram, withdrawal. Withdrawal means stilling strength and not using it lightly. If one does not use strength lightly, then the mind is empty and open. When the mind is empty, it is observant and careful, not being fooled by desire for things. Within black there is white. Spiritual illumination comes of itself. The original nature of innate knowledge and capacity in people is bright and lucid. Its quality is fundamentally illumined. By mixing with acquired conditioning, however, the discriminatory consciousness takes over, and the human mentality arises, so the mind of Tao is concealed. Thus, the strength of innate knowledge changes into delinquent assertiveness, and the receptivity of innate capacity changes into delinquent pliability. When the mind gets mixed up in things, this shuts down the openness of awareness, and the spiritual luminosity is obscured. When sages teach people to advance the fire, this is just a matter of promoting restoration of illumination from non-illumination. The work of fostering illumination cannot be done without obedience, which means according with the time and according with truth. When always maintaining the mind of Tao and not producing the human mentality, knowledge and capacity are good. What heaven bestows on humans is good, and people who submit to heaven, obey heaven, and accord with heaven are good too. When heaven and humanity act in concert, there is spontaneous truthfulness and illumination. That illumination grows daily, from subtle to evident, gradually advancing to a realm of lofty understanding and far-reaching vision. This is represented by a securely established lord presenting many horses and granting audience 3 times in a day. Securely established lord is a ruler in a state of security, tranquility, and peace. The hour of the horse is noon, which is in the province of the image of the light of fire. Multitude is what is produced by the earth, so it is in the province of the image of receptivity of earth. A day is the light of day. Illumination is above. Granting audience 3 times is the receptivity of earth. Receptivity is below. People's real mind with innate knowledge and capacity is the master of the body, like a secure ruler. The real mind, not turning away from innate good, using both illumination and receptivity, is like a secure ruler giving many horses as presents, producing understanding by receptivity. Using understanding to practice receptivity is like granting audience 3 times a day. 3 audiences means repeated reception, so that the unreceptive will eventually become receptive. Therein is the work of eliminating falsehood and maintaining truth. Then one eliminates falsehood and maintains truth. The human mind becomes submissive and receptive, and the mind of Tao becomes manifest. Truthfulness leads to illumination. Illumination leads to truthfulness. When truthfulness and illumination are simultaneously included, one clarifies the quality of illumination and rests in the highest good. Then the work of advancing the fire is completed. I'm going to go back to Hexagram 4, our primary, and read our changing lines. We had changing lines 2 and 6, I believe. Nope, 2 and 4, that's right. So we'll read lines 2 and 4 in the context of line 2. The context is going to be the heart's perception, the emotional center where you make and feel connections. Line 4 will be the capacity for action, asking how the work can be done. So starting out with line 2. Taking in darkness is good. Taking a wife is good. The heir ably takes over the family affairs. Explanation. Being firm yet capable of flexibility, using yin to nurture yang, is taking in darkness. When darkness is taken in, outside is dark while inside is light. Not only is yang energy not damaged, it even grows. This is like the good fortune of taking a wife, with the heir naturally taking over the family affairs. This is the time when one can nurture positive energy in darkness. Line 4, stuck in darkness, there is regret. Explanation. When you're basically ignorant and foolish yourself, and also keep company with petty people, not knowing enough to approach the high-minded and illumined so as to expand and master consciousness, you will after all be stuck in darkness and be unable to get out. You will suffer regret and worse. This is being in the dark without even knowing it is dark. Now, out of the back, we will read more commentary on line 4. believe it was 35. Line 4, darkness. Mountain above, water below. Under a mountain, a spring is produced in darkness. A superior person nurtures character with fruitful action. Darkness means developmental nurturance, without intellectualism. Above is mountain, below is water. Here, water is referred to as a spring and not water, because the spring under the mountain is water. When a spring is produced under a mountain, the spring is nurtured by the mountain, being water with a basis, flowing far from a deep source, going through without hindrance. This is the image of darkness. What superior people see in this is that when those who practice the Tao want to exercise virtue outwardly, first they must develop character inwardly. If one acts without development, the action will have no basis. Without inner mastery, action will injure character. This is the reason for emulating a spring emerging from a mountain, acting fruitfully without obstruction, taking as a model the mountain nurturing the spring, nurturing character with caring warmth. The yang in the center of water refers to what is produced by celestial unity, the original generative energy that gives birth to beings. This is what is called the celestial virtue or power. This virtue is hidden in the temporal. Since ordinary people follow temporally acquired conditioning and abandon the primordial, most do not know how to develop, nurture, cultivate, and sustain this primal virtue, so as a result they gradually dissipate it and harm their own essence in life. Those who awaken to this set aside acquired conditioning to practice inner development and outward action, using development to perfect action, using action to test development. Cultivating both inside and outside, nurturing character is developmental, and acting on it is developmental as well. Nurturing character means no worthy quality is left undeveloped. Fruitful action demands that every act be fruitful. Nurturance of character demands that it be nurtured until it is stable as a mountain. Only then is development complete. Fruitful action demands that it be effective as a spring flowing day and night. Only then is fruition complete. Action fruitful, character developed, one completes one's nature and understands the meaning of life, integrated with the celestial design, unconsciously following the laws of God. This is why darkness is valued. My hexagram 35, our supporting hexagram advance. Fire above, earth below. Light emerges over the earth, advancing. Thus do superior people, by themselves, illumine the quality of enlightenment. Advance is progress. Above is fire, associated with the sun, and below is earth. This is the sun emerging over the earth. The sun is light. The earth is basically dark. When the light of the sun emerges over the earth, it goes from darkness to light. This is the image of advance. What superior people see in this is that just as the sun sets and also rises, in the same way people can obscure their good qualities and also can illumine them. Therefore, superior people take it upon themselves to illumine the quality of enlightenment. To illumine means to make manifest. The quality of enlightenment is the spiritual nature of innate knowledge and innate capacity that is fundamental to humankind. This nature is originally truly open, subtly existing, radiantly bright, without obscurity. But once it is mixed with acquired temperament, it goes from clarity to obscurity and loses its basic nature. But as an unclarity comes from oneself, so also does clarity come from oneself. It is just a matter of whether one illumines this nature by oneself or not. If one actually knows how to illumine enlightenment, then one can illumine it. One should set right to work to cultivate it, clearing away all accumulated blockage, shed all kinds of feelings about things, and work on the ground of reality. Being careful and wary, nipping insidious inroads of conditioning in the bud, the human mentality disappears of itself and the mind of Tao manifests of itself. Temperament spontaneously sublimates, and the real nature spontaneously is revealed. This then is the original open awareness without obscurity, round and bright, clean and naked, bare and untrammeled. Hexagram 4 out of Hilary Barrett's I Ching, walking your path, creating your future. I do not believe Hilary Barrett is taking this from a particularly Taoist perspective. It's a little bit more of a practical, I would say, take on the I Ching. Key questions, and she calls this or translates this hexagram to not knowing, whereas before we translated it as darkness. Key questions: what don't you know? What if you didn't need to know all the answers now? How can you learn from experience? Oracle: not knowing, creating success. I do not seek the young ignoramus. The young ignoramus seeks me. The first consultation speaks clearly. The second and third pollute the waters. Polluted and hence not speaking, constancy bears fruit. Not knowing literally means being covered over like a young animal hidden away in the undergrowth by its mother. So you are ignorant and cannot see as far as you would like to. But this is not such a terrible thing while you are still so small. To be small and ignorant is a creative, harmonious way to engage with your world, and holding steadily to not knowing, and hence to learning, will bring good results. But this flow from creating success to constancy bears fruit is interrupted when the young ignoramus goes running after answers, as if it were embarrassing not to know. In his anxious persistence, he shows a profound disrespect for his teacher and also for the answer he is seeking that he imagines can be had so quickly. So the I who speaks here gives one clear answer, and then may refuse to answer. Or perhaps there is just such confusion that no answer can be understood. That speaker can be another person you're asking for a response you need. It can also be the oracle itself, or what speaks through it. Image. Below the mountain, spring water comes forth, not knowing. A noble one nourishes character with the fruits of action. The pure spring rises under the shelter of the mountain. It does not know where it's going, yet its flow becomes steadily deeper and stronger. In the same way, a noble one nurtures personal character and strength with the fruits of going forward and taking action. Learning comes from experience, not in the form of ready-made answers. Sequence. Not knowing follows from hexagram 3, sprouting. Things that are nearly born must needs be ignorant, and so not knowing follows. Not knowing means ignorance and the youth of things. You are at an early stage of development, like an infant just beginning to toddle out into the wider world. Suddenly, you find yourself ignorant. The world is a much less orderly place than it appeared from the cradle. So if you have a confused sense of losing your center, this is a sign that you're seeing the real world more clearly than before. Then our supporting hexagram 35. Advancing. Key question. What gifts and opportunities have you been given? How can you make the most of them? Oracle. Advancing. Prince Kang used the gift of horses to breed a multitude. In the course of a day, he mated them 3 times. Prince Kang was the brother of Wu, the martial king, who became first ruler of the Zhao dynasty. He supported him faithfully, and Wu rewarded him with a gift of horses. So when you are like Kang, you have remarkable gifts of strength and inspiration. Gifts as beautiful as horses that enable you to travel further and faster. You are popular, you are blessed. Kang did not just sit back and admire his horses. He worked intensively to multiply them and magnify the gift. To be truly blessed, you need to act accordingly. To advance and prosper, you need to seize all you are given as an opportunity. Image. Light comes forth over the earth, advancing. A noble one's own light shines in her character. The light emerging over the earth is like sunrise. Just as the sun appears to be daily renewed and sustained by the earth, so the noble one's light emerges from her character, which is the earth she's made of. Her inner quality, her willingness to give and receive, sustains the shining light in everything she does. Sequence. Advancing follows from hexagram 34, great vigor. Things cannot be completed with vigor, and so advancing follows. Advancing means making progress. It is not enough just to be strong and stand firm. You will want to make the most of the strength you have and make it mean something by putting it to use. Pair. Advancing forms a pair with hexagram 36, brightness hidden. Advancing means daylight. Brightness hidden means castigation. Now you are the one who is popular, blessed and bathed in sunlight. Sometimes you are the one who is punished, pursued and cast out into the dark. Hexagram 4 will read changing lines 2 and 4. Line 2. This is the heart center where you make and feel connections. The heart's perception, the emotional center where you make and feel connections. Embracing the ignoramus, good fortune. Receiving the woman, good fortune. The child governs the home. Embrace the ignoramus, or your own ignorance, like a child in the womb. Accept it. Hold it. Allow it to be as it is. Make the experience of not knowing an integral part of yourself, and you can start learning, which is good fortune. And then line 4, the capacity for action, asking how the work can be done. Confined ignoramus, shame. The ignoramus is confined. Not knowing becomes a trap. How are you to learn anything if there are walls separating you from other people? You need to overcome your insecurity and reach out, maybe even before you know what you will encounter. Staying in confinement would be shameful. Let's now read a passage from the Tao Te Ching. Got two passages, 67 and 66. Everyone under heaven says that my Tao is great and beyond compare. Because it is great, it seems different. If it were not different, it would have vanished long ago. I have 3 treasures which I hold and keep. The first is mercy. The second is economy. The third is daring not to be ahead of others. From mercy comes courage. From economy comes generosity. From humility comes leadership. Nowadays men shun mercy but try to be brave. They abandon economy but try to be generous. They do not believe in humility but always try to be first. This is certain death. Mercy brings victory in battle and strength in defense. It is the means by which heaven saves and guards. (66) Why is the sea king of 100 streams? Why is the sea king of 100 streams? Because it lies below them. Therefore it is the king of 100 streams. If the sage would guide the people, he must serve with humility. If he would lead them, he must follow behind. In this way, when the sage rules, the people will not feel oppressed. When he stands before them, they will not be harmed. The whole world will support him and will not tire of him, because he does not compete, he does not meet competition. you.